Jesse, I mean, this is the second time you've scored multiple goals in the game, first time this season, second straight shutout. How comfortable are you feeling? I know you said you wanted to stick with the plan, but how much more confidence does this give your guys that you've been able to pull these two results off consecutively?
Yeah. I mean, the group has stuck together, has fought hard, has continued to get better each game, has continued to get better each day. And ultimately, that's what this takes. So it's not about one result or two results or five results or 1 year. It's about over time having a process of understanding how to commit to getting better. And we have that here. And it's not just one or two players. It's literally the whole group. And you could go down to the USL team, the commitment that we have as an organization to find ways to grow and get better. So still early stage of the season, but 8 games under our belt. I feel like now we're getting to the point where we're starting to see ourselves get better every day. And listen, this was always going to be a good game. It was always going to be a tough game. When we play Columbus, they stylistically challenge what we do. They're good at what they do. And the challenge for us is to be really good at what we do. When we were tactically sound and we did press together, we were able to create many chances. But when we were a little bit off, they started to put little plays together that would exploit our pressing. So it makes it a day for running. It makes it a day for staying tuned in and alert. It makes it a day for competing, and it makes it a day for finishing off plays. So overall, high marks for a lot of guys on the field, and feel like we took another big step forward today.
Go over here, Dan, and then Ives.
Jesse, this is Alex's second time he's scored in 2 straight. Has his positioning gotten better towards goal since you put him back into the starting 11?
Well, I think yes. The answer is yes. I think he put himself in a position to score that first goal. You know, a little unlucky not to reward himself with the second. When the ball gets wide, always trying to find ways to get our attacking players to commit to running hard in the box. And then, you know, also delivery. So Kamara put a really good ball in there that challenged their back line. But, yeah, I think that Alex, this will definitely help him with confidence around the goal. And then, you know, I think we'll continue to see the quality come. And, you know, that's the other part is he emptied his tank tonight. We had a lot of guys that really emptied their tank at the highest level, and we knew that was what it was going to take.
Jesse, the crew, obviously, they were in first place coming in. They played really well. They keep the ball, but you guys were able to kind of disrupt them and keep their midfield from doing much. What did you think of the performance of your midfield, and particularly Tyler Adams, who had obviously a tough assignment? He seemed to kind of deal with Higuain well. And then a follow-up on when you see Artur come out, he's been big for them. Did you kind of get a sense then that they might struggle without him there?
The first part is that, we knew that a lot of so what happens with them is they like to go to one side, then they like to come through the middle, and they need those 3 guys in the middle to start to space themselves and create passing lanes, and then they like to exploit the weak side. And they overload the weak side, and then they try to put balls back across and have Ola Kamara running in the box. That's a very effective way to play for them, and they're very good at it. And if our press isn't good, then they can, and on the weak side, they really can have space and they can have time to run, and that's what really challenges us. So it requires our midfielders to now really be compressing the field and knowing where their important players are, and it requires our front 3 to be coming back into the game and help compress the field, and then it requires our 4 backs to make sure that they're ready to shift as quickly as possible so there aren't big gaps in our back line for them to play through. That's a lot to happen all at once on the fly while they're sprinting, while they're coming at you for 90 minutes. So it challenges everything. But, you know, I thought overall, you know, even though they were able at times to possess the ball and go from one side to the other, we didn't give up huge chances, right? We did a pretty good job. A couple came on set pieces where maybe Kamara could have been at the far post, but we did a pretty good job of limiting big chances from them. And then, Artur's been an important guy. But it's funny, you know, you could say similar to us and for them too, they have a kind of system that they find the kind of players that they need. They put them into their system. They know what their roles are, and then they go and do their job. And so that's a credit to the system that Greg Berhalter has built and the way that their team plays and the confidence he has in his players. So I still felt that Abu was going to be an important guy, and we were going to have to still now manage him. And it turned out that toward the end of the first half, Abu was really finding a lot of spots and causing trouble. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing you see the most with Tyler is he can just cover so much ground. He can run. And, you know, there were so many times where he all of a sudden was recovering to deal with a moment or counter-pressing to deal with a moment. Or then now there was he would pick up a loose ball and there would be space to run, and he would be able to run for 50 yards with the ball and relieve pressure. So all those little details wind up being really important. And, yeah, you see, listen, this was like you said, this is a high-level game to have to play in the middle and figure out what's going on. And I think Tyler really held his own and won a lot of his battles, and another day where we see him continue to grow.
I'm going to go Eduardo along the wall and then Joe.
Hey, Coach.
Hey.
Oh, having Danny Roger to kick the penalty kick, it was a way to reward his hard work and dedication.
Yeah, we also think, it's no secret that we've had issues with penalties. And, there may be a time that we go back to Brad or Sasha, but we also, when we take penalties in training, Danny's one of our best takers. So we made the decision at the beginning of the year or after the Champions League to go with Danny. And yes, for me, it's also really important for him to get on the board because he's put a lot of work in, and I think this will give him confidence.
After the second goal, it looked like the team played a lot more defensively focused and attacked more direct. Was that by design, or was that due to Columbus sort of starting to come
A little
into
of
the game?
both. A little of both. I think we wanted to go for the third, but do it in a way where we were also not exposing ourselves. So some of that was to come a little bit deeper. Some of it was fatigue, all right? But I think overall, I felt like at the 52nd minute, like we might be in for a long half. And I was starting to think that at the 55th, maybe the 60th, that we were going to have to make a sub and maybe even make a tactical change. And then all of a sudden, about the 57th minute, we really started to gain a grasp on the game. And so Columbus came out of the locker room and they pushed hard to get the goal. And when we weathered the storm, I then felt like we grew into the half. And then it seemed more likely like the third was coming than it was going to be 2-1. So, as a coach, sometimes you're trying to play a little bit of a balancing act to read what's happening in the game and try to decide, do you want to make tactical changes to help defensively, or do you want to make tactical changes to actually continue to go for the goals? So overall, I thought that the guys hung in there, and it allowed us to make changes that I think helped us not get too defensive.
We'll go over here to Christian and then Glenn.
Jesse, for the third straight match since going to the 4-2-3-1, it seems like offensively the group is clicking. Is that about formation, or is that just about confidence and time? And then second question, is there an update on Bradley Wright Phillips? He came off the field. Was that an injury? It looked like maybe a hamstring a little bit, or tightening?
Yeah, so the 4-2-3-1, the main function of playing that way is it gets the best out of Brad and Sasha, who are our two best players and two of the best players in the league. So we made the decision to make the switch. There's been some talk about, like, when we were 1-6 last year, we played with two strikers and all. We played with three strikers last year when we were 1-6, and we just couldn't get the thing going. This year we went with two. We went through some struggles, but I think we learned also some other valuable things. Now when we go to the three, it's a comfort zone specifically for those two guys, which I think is important to maximize their abilities. And the follow-up was Bradley. Bradley's okay. When I saw him stretch his hamstring, that worried me. So I made the decision to take him out, and he said he's fine. But, we felt like we had a grasp on the game, and we really believe in Frederick. So I think continuing to find ways to preserve him and Sasha are important.
Thanks. I was going to ask the 4-2-3-1 too. It just seems like the whole team has their mojo back. And the simple thing you could say is the system changed. But I think you answered it. Your two best players are more comfortable.
Yeah, and it's also being at home, right? Okay, we had a good performance in Orlando. We didn't get the result. But, again, you look around the league. The home teams are getting results. And that's just the way it goes in our league. But I feel like we understand – there was even some moments in the game today where we used Sasha almost like a second forward. So it was tonight he played like a 9.5. So he would press sometimes up higher, but then come underneath with the game. And that's one of the nice things about creating familiarity with the two strikers, is that we can kind of flux back and forth and still continue to keep our shape and understanding as to what the responsibilities are.
And Greg suggested that you were trying to pound the right side of their defense. Was that something you had in mind, or did he it just seem that way to him?
I don't want to reveal too much, but we liked certain matchups in the game, and so we decided to try to go after them. So that's all you're getting.
Time
Thanks.
for one more. We'll go to
sorry.
Avs.
Obviously, they came in. They were in first place with the win. You now are tied for first heading into tomorrow. How important was it to kind of close that gap? I know it's early. It's still April, but how important is it given the East is looking really tough now with Atlanta, Chicago improving? It's looking like it's going to be a real dogfight. How important
The whole
is
league,
it?
really.
Right, but the East is really
East is better this year.
Right. Tight. How important is it to kind of keep that tightness there?
Yeah, I think it's it's still early for me, but I think I mean we feel like there's momentum, right? We feel like we're moving this thing forward. Points wise, it's always nice to look at the table and see that you're in the front or near the front. If Columbus winds up winning tonight, then there's a very different feel within the team. And then when you look at the table, there's a 6-point difference. So it becomes all these 6-pointers are valuable and important. We'll have another one next weekend. But truly, the progress. At this point in the year, it's about making progress and growing so that you continue to understand what it's going to take within the year to be the team you want to become. So that's where I look at, regardless of the result, and feel pretty good about the night. Okay?
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, guys.